Is hospice just for cancer patients and those who only have a few days left to live?
That's a common question. Hospice is for anyone with a life-limiting illness, so it can be any diagnosis. Sometimes it's just somebody who is at the end of life. They're 95 years old. We've had 100-year-old patients, and they don't really have a specific diagnosis. They're just declining and at their end of life. So if you have a life-limiting illness, you can be appropriate for hospice. It's not just cancer, and it's not just those final few days, which a lot of people wait for. Hospice will come in whenever you've decided you're ready for comfort care. You no longer want aggressive treatment. And at that time, we can get involved, we can help you, and we can stay with you for the entire illness and the disease process. So it's not those last few days. You benefit often if you come prior to them.
Does hospice stop all medical treatments and hasten the end of one's life?
Most people believe yes, and the answer is no. Many people are afraid if they go on hospice, they're going to die immediately, and that is not the case. Hospice often provides a better quality of life. The days that you have left, you're comfortable. You still have a physician who is overseeing your care, so you still have medical treatment. You still have access to medications and a physician. It's just somebody who wants comfort as opposed to aggressive treatment. If you're somebody who doesn't want to go to the hospital all the time, you just want to stay home and be comfortable, hospice is a good time, a good service for you. It's beneficial to anyone who does not want to have any kind of aggressive or new treatments that are out for a disease process. But you still do remain under a physician's care through the entire service.
Yeah, Anna Marie's up. How does the uncertainty of life expectancy affect retirement income planning?
Everybody's biggest question is, when am I going to die? And if we knew that, we wouldn't know we wouldn't need any of the panelists up here today. Unfortunately, none of us know that, and I think there's some statistic like 2 out of every 2 of us will pass at some point. And I think that's why we're all here today, is to talk to you about putting that planning in place so that you can be prepared for when things happen along the way. So one of the things in insurance, great point about that's there tomorrow if something happens to you. So if you pass tomorrow or if you get sick tomorrow, the money that you put into it is going to come back tenfold. So, it's not a matter of just saving it. But as far as insurance now is being used to protect your income to make sure that your money lasts as long as you do. I mean, obviously, since Social Security was put in place, at that time we lived till we were 65 years old, and now we were living, into our 90s and still golfing. So there's also a statistic that shows higher educated people and wealthier people live longer. So they actually have, it costs them more to sustain that lifestyle, and of course they live longer. So that's kind of like a double expense added to it. So people were taking some of either a 401k funds or some of their nest egg and moving it into guaranteed income, which is like designing your own pension, like another Social Security check in the mail every month or directly into your deposit. So that even if you outlive that $100,000, you will not outlive that $100,000. So, or with your spouse. And then if something happens in the meantime, it would go to your beneficiaries as well.
What are the strategies people use today to protect against market downturns in our low interest rate environment?
Okay, so if you were fortunate enough when you were young to start life insurance that has a whole life or cash value, permanent insurance, you can actually draw upon that like you would from your investments. So if it's in a down year, rather than draw from your investments, you can turn to your life insurance policy. Now, again, if you're at a point where you haven't utilized that, then you can also put in place the guaranteed income again, so that you know that your bills are covered, your basic necessities of life, and then perhaps you can be more aggressive with the money that is in your investments. And of course, today, the basic of life, is a little bit different than what it was years ago when it was food, shelter, and transportation. Because now it's, golf and wine club and book club and what have you. So you want to take all that into consideration, the internet and your cell phone and computers and what have you.
With the rising costs of healthcare, what are current solutions used to help fund an extended healthcare if needed?
Okay, so and then, that's the looming thing. What if? What if I get sick? And again, there's the traditional long-term care insurance that has changed tremendously over the last 25 years since it came out. And at that time, a lot of companies jumped in on the bandwagon and then found out, they didn't price it right. The prices went exponentially. So choose someone that is going to make sure make sure you're getting what you're paying for in that aspect. It's the most beneficial in terms of coverage, but again, it does require underwriting.